All right, guys. I really wanted to talk to you and kind of explain what I'm feeling, especially after the two posts that I had yesterday. So the two posts I had yesterday, I'm really venting about what's happening in our country right now. I mean, this is America, right? This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And what we're experiencing right now is unprecedented in history. I just want you guys to kind of wrap your head around the gravity of the situation right now, because this is unprecedented in history in your lifetime, right? You're never going to see anything like this. Excuse the backdrop. I'm holed up in my underground bunker at the Miller Farm, and I just want to get this off my chest because I could not sleep last night. And if you know me, watch it all the way through to the end and tell me what you think. And if you've got something that can contradict me, please, I want to know that information. I want to be proven wrong on this, more than I want to prove myself right. All right, because this is just the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Um, as far as the post, I had a lot of good debates with people yesterday. No one can still find any flaws with my math. My math is good. If you can find a flaw in my math, please let me know so that I can correct it. Um, I want to tell you my sources, and so my stats are coming from the National Vital Statistics. I mean, and the death numbers that I have as far as the U.S. The most current information I have is from 2017. All right, now I've got a lot of stats on my computer here, so if I'm looking up, that's what I'm looking at. All right, and this is what I'm not trying to do. I am not trying to say that this is a conspiracy theory, and I am also not trying to belittle uh, and make light of these death numbers. I mean, every number that I'm talking about here that is a death is a human being, and I don't want to stray away from that fact. What I'm trying to convey to you guys and what I have discovered is, this is unprecedented in history of the steps that we're taking right now is unprecedented in history, and the punishment that we're getting right now does not fit the crime. Okay, we are being told to stay in our houses, don't congregate in groups of 10, we cannot go to church, we cannot go to theater, we cannot go into any public gathering space over 50 people right now in Georgia. Some other states are at 10, right? Liquor stores are shutting down, grocery stores are shutting down, they're shutting their hours. It is unprecedented what's going on. Restaurants are drive-through only right now. I mean, think about what's happening to America at the moment. All right, you are cutting off all economic activity at the moment, all economic activity, um, and it's only gonna get worse in the next 2 weeks as people start to feel this. Um, you're not feeling it right now. In 2 weeks to 3 weeks, it's really going to be a rude awakening. Predictions: in 2 to 3 weeks, one out of every four of your friends, I'm on video, buddy. One out of every four of your friends is going to be unemployed. All right, that means unemployment is going to be at 25%. One out of every four of somebody you know is going to lose their job really quickly. I'm laying off. I cut payroll by 20% 2 weeks ago. And I'm looking at the numbers, and probably this Friday I'm going to have to cut it another 20%, which is really sad. I've got 19 families that depend on me to give them a job, and I'm having to cut payroll and put these people out of work because of a virus that is running rampant supposedly through the world. But if you look at the numbers, look at the John Hopkins tracker. There's all kinds of trackers out there, and they're pretty much tracking the same thing. Um, what I'm trying to convey to you is go do your own research. All right, go look at SARS, go look at MERS, go look at all the pandemics we've had recently, go look at swine flu, right? Look at the normal flu that we have every season. Look at those numbers. And if you can't look at those numbers and justify You cannot look at those numbers and justify what's happening to us right now, depending on what these numbers are that we're having right now. This is craziness. All right. So, a couple of stats. This is what I wanted to open with. All right. So, yesterday, I haven't updated my spreadsheet for the new numbers this morning from overnight, so I'm still using yesterday's numbers. Yesterday, we lost 23 American lives to this COVID-19 virus. And that's in the United States, okay? We lost 23 lives in the United States to this virus yesterday. What my point is, all right, is also yesterday, all right? If you look at these death stats based on 2017, you know, they give you the whole year, just divide it by 365 and you get your numbers, okay? We lost 23 people to the COVID-19 virus yesterday. Also yesterday, we lost 129 Americans to suicide. They killed themselves, 129 people. Also yesterday, 229 people died of diabetes yesterday. This is yesterday, just yesterday. In addition to that, for flu and pneumonia, 153 people died of flu or pneumonia yesterday. Okay? On top of that, the one that really gets me is accidents. You know, accidents, there was 400, according to the stats, you know, average, 466 people died in a car accident yesterday. And 466 people will die in a car accident today. Now, that is some unreal numbers to wrap your head around. But these are real stats, all right? Cancer, 1,641 people die every day of cancer. 1,641 people die every day of cancer. And yesterday, we lost 23 people to the COVID virus, and we are shutting down an American economy because 23 people died from a virus yesterday, all right? Now, those numbers are going to spike. I can guarantee you right now those numbers are going to go up. And everybody's throwing the CDC prediction. We're predicting that 1.7 million people are going to die from the COVID virus, you know, and this is going to get really bad. Well, let me tell you what. Where are they getting those predictions from? Because none of the models on any country in the world who is reporting numbers on the COVID virus right now, they're saying 1.7 million people are going to die in the whole entire world. From December to now, we've had a little over 200,000 total cases. From December to today, in the last 3 months, we've had 200,000 total cases, all right? We've had 8,000 deaths in the entire world. I'm not talking about the United States. If you go to the United States figures, all right, I'm looking at figures from right now in the United States. So right now in the United States, we got 6,500 infections. And out of 6,500 infections, we've had 114 deaths. And this has been tracking since the first case in the United States was January 20th. So 114 people have died from this thing in the last month, okay? And we have 6,500 cases in the United States. I expect these numbers to spike because we are on the beginning of the curve. But if you look at China, you look at Japan, you look at Hong Kong, you look at South Korea, all of their lines are flat, all right? They're having hardly any new cases. Let me tell you our new deaths, our American death rates for the past 3 days, all right? Yesterday, we had 23 new deaths. The day before that, we had 18. The day before that, we had 11, okay? So we're on the up climb. I'm looking at Italy's numbers. Let's look at Italy's numbers. Last 3 days of Italy's deaths. And Italy is the one that everybody's saying, oh my God, Italy's really bad. They're overrun. All right, well, tell me how they're overrun, because 3 days ago, 368 people died. The day after that, 349 people died. And the day after that, 345 people died. Italy has been on lockdown for a week to 10 days now, I think. They've been 60 million people in that country, and they are totally quarantined. All right, totally quarantined. And so they're at their peak right now and are going to start trailing down. If you take those numbers, let's take Italy's numbers. Yesterday, 345 people died of COVID-19. That's nothing to sneeze at, all right? But that was in Italy. In the United States yesterday, 466 people died in a car accident, all right? And we're not shutting down the economy because 466 people died in a car accident. That's what I'm saying, is something is not making sense. If you want to shut down an economy like you're doing, then you need to show me some numbers that are equal to the flu, all right? You haven't shown me anywhere close to those numbers yet. Only thing you're showing me, the flu, like I said, 153 people died yesterday of the flu and 23 people died of COVID-19. 153 people die every day of the flu in the United States, and we don't shut down an economy. We don't close restaurants and bars. On top of that, how many times have you seen the government, all right? 129 suicides on a daily basis in the United States. At what point did the government say that's a crisis and throw $1 trillion into the mix, all right? That's what we're doing. They're sending a $1 trillion bailout into the United States. Have you ever... 466 people die every day in a car wreck. When has the government said we need to bail out all these industries that are affected by 466 deaths? We're talking about a virus, which is going to, if you follow the trends, okay, it seems like this 14-day period is the magic number. After it peaks, it goes away in 14 days. It levels out. If you want to see South Korea, the most tested country in the world. They have tested more people than any other country. All right. South Korea, in the last 3 days, they had 5 deaths, 6 deaths the next day, and 5 deaths the day before that. 5 deaths. Now, I'm not trying to marginalize death. I'm telling you, these are just stats. And their country is completely closed down too. They're closing a whole country for 5 deaths. And what I want to tell you is if you go by South Korea's numbers, all right, let me look. South Korea has 52 million people. 52 million people, and they've had a total of 81 deaths, all right, over the span. And they're not peaking. They're not going up. They're flatlining. This is South Korea, all right? The most tested place in the world. And that's why I keep hearing people tell me, well, the only reason the numbers aren't up is because we're not testing. And so, we think that there's at least 10 times more cases out there than what's being reported. All right, well, let's take your figures, all right? Because the CDC says this, if 1% of our population catches this thing and needs to be hospitalized, our hospital system is in trouble. All right, we have 330 million people in the United States. Of course, 1% would be 33 million people that need to be hospitalized. The problem with those numbers is look at every other country and look at their infections, look at their number of cases, and look at their population. All you're seeing on these charts is the number of cases, and you're seeing the number of cases rise, and you're seeing, blah, blah, blah. If you spread it over the population, it is nothing. This is less than the flu bug that is infecting the world. And the whole world has decided that we're going to toss our freedoms up in the air and we're going to quarantine and we're going to hunker down. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to take precautions. Any virus, flu bug, it's the same thing, right? You wash your hands, you don't touch your face, especially when you're sick. My kid's in school, wash your hands. Everybody knows kids go to school. All right, we've shut down schools. We have shut down 41 million students for the foreseeable future because we are reacting to a virus that has not proven to be more damaging than the regular flu. It's certainly not more damaging than any of the top 10 causes of death in the United States on a daily basis. Heart disease, 774. Cancer, 1641. Accidents, 466. Respiratory disease, 439. Stroke, 401 Americans die every day from stroke. Alzheimer's, diabetes, Go down the list. Look at your daily numbers. Our deaths in the United States are nowhere near any of these numbers that we deal with on a daily basis. And we don't close an economy down. We don't shut down bars and restaurants and churches. We don't do that. Why? Why are we doing it now? Why? Because the CDC says this is going to be 1.7 million deaths. Show me any country right now that's on the peak, that's coming close to those numbers. Not even close. Everybody's talking about Italy. Italy, if you look at Italy right now, on a country that has 61 million people in it, they've had 31,000 infections. Okay? And what kills me is I keep hearing this thing, we're not going to have enough hospital beds. We're not going to have hospital beds. Well, let's look at those numbers, okay? So right now they're saying that the World Health Organization is saying that 13.8% of the patients that get this virus need to be hospitalized and may need ICU. Let's assume 20% of the people who get this need hospitalization. All right, 20% of the people who get it need hospitalization. So if you take the population of Italy right now, they have 61 million people. There's 32,000 people who are infected. All right, multiply that times 20%. It's really easy math. All right, you got 6,400 people that need ICU beds total. Now, this doesn't include people who are already got it and got over it. All right, that doesn't include that. So the hospital bed theory doesn't play. You've got the governor of New York calling on the Army Corps of Engineers and the cruise lines to come set up floating hospitals and come build hospitals in New York because they're not going to have enough hospital beds. Well, what country? Show me a country that's going to put that much. I mean, based on these raw numbers, and this is World Health Organization numbers, you can track them. There is not one country that even comes close to any kind of percentages that even infection rate or mortality rate that comes close to the flu, the seasonal flu. All right, this is a seasonal virus. Probably, we don't know for sure, but my guess is, in 6 months, this conversation never happened. We will not be talking about coronavirus in 6 months unless we are still shut down, which they're talking about. Hey, we could postpone the election in November because this is so bad. There's people talking about, hey, I got a wedding in September. I'm going to cancel it because this is 6 months away. My best guess is this thing's going to run its course and the numbers are going to be nowhere near where the CDC, is predicting the 1.7 million deaths. I would like to see that right now because we have 8,000 deaths in the entire planet. We have 8,000 deaths from this thing, and the trend line is starting to trend down. All right? Let's triple it. Let's say we have 24,000 deaths in the world when this thing's all over. Still doesn't match. Numbers do not warrant not going to church, closing down restaurants, closing down an economy. All right? This is unprecedented stuff. This is history. This is something that you're going to feel in 2 weeks. It's going to affect every person that you know. Okay? They're already doing it in California. New York will follow very soon. We are going to be on a soft quarantine very soon. Okay? That's going to mean non-essential businesses are going to be closed. Every non-essential business is going to be closed. On top of that, you're going to have limited availability to get out of your house. You're going to be able to go to the grocery store. You might be able to go to the pharmacy. You might be able to go to the bank. But you'll have to go there and you'll have to come back because that's it. And then there's going to be a line at the grocery store because they're only going to let 10 people in the store at a time. This is coming. This is coming in the next, I predict, by Monday. You're going to see states locking people down. And you're going to see states locking people down for a virus that has less death and infection than the flu. All right? Do your own numbers. Like I said, do your own research. Do it all. Compare it to SARS. Compare it to swine flu. Compare it to anything you want to. I've already been there. I've already done that. So if what the CDC is telling us is that we, the United States, somehow the most advanced technological country in the world, is all of a sudden going to explode in the COVID-19 cases, worse than the epicenter of China. This thing started in China and it spread rampant with nobody closing anything until it was already in the country. And they had a total, if you believe their numbers, of 80,000 people that got infected. All right. And I don't know what their death rate is at the moment. I can go look at China and I can say that China has 3,241 deaths as of right now over the last 3 months. I don't believe their numbers. I think China's numbers are low. All right. But even if China's numbers are triple, they have, their population is huge. All right. They have so much. They have 1.4 billion people. 1.4 billion people. All right. And if they're claiming 3,000 deaths out of 1.4 billion people, do you understand that if we take those percentages and apply them to the U.S., in 3 months, when everybody's had this thing and it's gone through the system, we will have a total of 25 deaths in the United States. 25. No, I'm wrong on that. Sorry. If we apply the China numbers right now, I'm looking at Georgia. Sorry. If we apply the China numbers to the whole U.S., when this is all said and done, we'll have 761 deaths in the United States. I think that's low. I think that's a low number. I don't think we're going to be in Italy territory, and I don't think we're going to be in South Korea territory. In South Korea, if we apply South Korea's numbers and extrapolate in the United States, it means at the end of this thing, we're going to have 514 people die, and we're going to have roughly 7,300 people that's going to need to be in ICU. All right. Why are we getting cruise ships and having floating hospitals off the coast of New York if in the entire United States we're talking about 7,000 people that need to be ICU'd? Doesn't make sense to me. Italy's a different story. Their numbers are much higher. Take the Italy numbers and it still does not justify not going to church, not going to school, shutting schools down. Schools are going to be shut down through the end of the year. You can go ahead and get used to that. All right. That's going to happen, which means all the parents who have school age kids are going to be burdened with that. Childcare. What are we going to do there? Because we can't, they're moving the goalpost as you go because they're seeing that this is, hey, well, if people can't work, they got to put their kids somewhere, but they can't put their kids in school because we close the schools. They can't put the kids in daycare because we can't gather more than 50 people. We can't. So, it's going to snowball. I'm telling you, people, you guys are whistling past the graveyard. This is not right. These numbers do not make sense. They don't make sense on any planet. They don't make sense for any country that's infected. They don't make sense for the United States of America. I can tell you that right now. I know everybody says, oh, we're going to slow it down. We got to slow it down. We got to slow it down. If we let it run rampant like the flu, right? The flu affects between 60 and 90 million people a year in the United States. 60 and 90 people. I mean, I'm looking at death rates for every country, and it's less than the flu. All right? And the number of infected in every country is way less than the flu. So I just got to get this off my case. I know this is long. I know this is crazy, and I know I sound like a lunatic. But I want somebody to please answer that question for me. How in the world are we shutting down the United States when the numbers don't match? All right. I will give you, for instance, in Georgia right now, we've had one death in Georgia. How many people live in Georgia? 11 million population. We have 11 million people live in Georgia, and one person has died from this COVID-19. Probably going to go up. But as of today, all right, you have 1 in 800,000 chance of winning Fantasy 5. 1 in 800,000 chance of winning Fantasy 5. So we have 11 million people in Georgia, right? You know what that means? One person out of 11 million versus 1 out of 800,000 to win the Fantasy 5. You could win the Fantasy 5 10 times in one day, and you would still have a better chance of doing that than dying from COVID-19 in Georgia. Just wanted to share that with you. And if you look at the numbers for the United States, all right, what's our death toll right now? United States, we are at 114 deaths. Now, let's look at that. Let's look at those numbers. This is tracking over the last month. 55, one half of the total deaths in the United States occurred in one state, in one cluster of one state. Half of the deaths in the United States occurred in one cluster in one state in Washington. 55 deaths out of 114. So if you take Washington out of play, right? Now you've got even less numbers in the United States. If it wasn't for that one nursing home that went rampant through there, and it's affecting people who have underlying conditions, and it's affecting the elderly the most. I know there's outliers out there. Everybody's throwing them out there. Oh, this guy was 36 years old. And yeah, that's one. That's one. Look at your average. Your average age of death from COVID-19 in Italy is 81 years old. That's your average age, 81 years old. So it's affecting older people, and your percentages of getting it is the people who have compromised immune systems, who can't deal with, their body can't fight the virus. And it sets up some problems when it gets in there. But again, every death is tragic, but there is no way, no how, that what we're doing to this country right now is warranted or justified. I just want you people to wake up, smell the roses, look around, do some numbers, get your head out of the sand, because this is bigger than the virus. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how we're going to come out of this on the other side. Look at what they're throwing. Again, look at, watch the president every day. He infused he had the Fed print $1.5 trillion day before yesterday. He just infused the economy with $1.5 trillion. That's huge, because, we do $4 trillion annually. All right. He just did a 25% in cash injection into the U.S. economy, and the stock market fluttered. Didn't even move. All right. Yes, then they cut interest rates a full point. We're almost in negative interest rate territory. We are at cheap money right now, but it's not doing anybody any good. It doesn't do you any good to get money if you can't pay it back, if you ain't got a job, right? If there's no economic activity in the entire United States, you can't pay it back. So your stocks are going to react like that. Everything is going to come to a screeching halt if we don't get our heads out of the sand and wake up in 2 weeks. All right. If we go 2 weeks and they lock us down for another 2 weeks, you're going to see businesses file bankruptcy. You're going to see your corner mom and pop shop file bankruptcy. You're going to see your corner pub file bankruptcy. You're going to see restaurants starting to file, especially mom and pop shops. All right. Franchises, they got money. They got cash. They can weather it. But you're going to see mom and pop shops. You're going to see all of that stuff go away and try to ride this out. They're going to close their doors. They're going to put people out of work. Unemployment's going to shoot sky high. Like I said, 1 out of every 4 people are going to be jobless. All right? In less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. And we went from an economic boom 4 weeks ago, all right, to we're fixing to enter into a depression. Maybe not a recession, but even a depression. If this thing lasts, if we're still talking about this on July 4th, we are in a depression, all right? We're going to have unemployment rates of close to 40%, if that's what's happening. And it's going to be total chaos, because no one's going to have money to buy anything if this thing is still going on July 4th, all right? What I'm telling you is, this is unprecedented. It is not warranted. Never, ever, 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 ever have we shut down an entire economy for this. I know you're throwing the numbers at me. The world's doing it, so it can't be just us. No, it can't be. It's the world's reacting to the same way the United States is reacting. And I don't know what the ploy is, because we didn't need a bailout We didn't need if you do your sensible things, you cough in your arm, you clean your surfaces, we could have controlled this thing just fine and let the economy go. That's what we do with the flu. We control it just fine and the economy rolls on. We don't shut the economy down for anything. We don't shut it down because 466 people are dying every day in a car accident. We don't shut it down because 129 people commit suicide every day. You know, we don't throw $1 trillion bailouts at suicides. We don't throw $1 trillion bailouts at cancer. And we lose, where's my stat? We lose, oh my God, 1,600 people a day, every single day of cancer. 1,600 people every day, and we're not throwing $1 trillion bailout at any time. At any time. I guess because we're just used to all those deaths every day, right? We're used to that. Doesn't make sense to me why we're shutting down an economy, why we're putting people out of work, why we're putting businesses out of business, while we're holding kids out of school. I don't know the reason. I'm telling you, something's wrong. It doesn't make sense. And I rest my case. If you would like to, if you got my number, message me. You can message me, put me on Facebook, comment on anything you want. I'm here. I will be glad to listen to it all. I want to be proven wrong. If the numbers were there, I would be right here in my basement with you. All right? And not bitching about a thing. I'd be watching Netflix. But the numbers aren't there, and this doesn't make sense. All right? Do your own research. Look it through. That's all I'm saying.